I cover a number of key ideas in this lesson. So I want to give you a really good solid foundation about how Feldenkrais lessons are done, what to expect, and the kinds of changes you can experience very quickly and really quite powerfully in just a brief period of time. So to begin with, we start the lesson with a scan. And a scan is where I guide your attention to sense yourself in your present state. I guide your awareness to sense different parts of yourself in relationship to your environment, in this case, which would be the chair or the floor, and sometimes in relationship with each other. So sensing one part in relationship to another part. And this does a couple of things. It gives you a baseline for you to compare back to as you progress through the lesson. And it also turns your attention inward in preparation for the lesson. I also emphasize the importance of sensing differences. This is a really key element in Feldenkrais lessons. So in Feldenkrais's book, Body and Mature Behavior, he talks about two paths of development. And one path is the path in which people take and they don't make distinctions. They don't make refined distinctions about themselves or their environment or their experience. And he said that path leads to decline because we tend to group things into larger and larger categories, and we're not making refined distinctions which help us progress and improve. And that's the other pathway, which is making refined distinctions helps us improve ourselves and our movement, but in so many other ways as well. We can be an artist, a painter, a craftsman, or a musician, or making refined differences really help you to improve the quality of what you're doing. So Feldenkrais was interested in this application to the entire self. Of course, through movement, making refined distinctions in movement helps you to continue to improve your movement, improve your abilities, no matter what they are. So habits are another idea that I talk about in this lesson. We can't get through life without them. We got to have them. Otherwise, we'd have to relearn how to get out of bed every morning. And that would be quite futile. We would not have progressed as a species as we have. So habits keep us going. The routine things we do every day, they become habituated. And we develop those habits through our life experience. Some of that is through development. Some of it is through our avocation or a vocation. And it's just life experience. And it's how we experience our emotions. Emotions shape our posture and also influence our habits. And this becomes a personal expression of who we are. They also limit us in our abilities. So after a period of time, we need to infuse them with some kind of knowledge, awareness, experience so that they become better, more robust, so they serve us more fully in our experience. So we can do the things we want to do in life. So another key idea we use in this lesson are reference movements. So reference movements are setting a very distinct point in the beginning of the lesson and various points of the lesson, and then coming back and checking, coming back to that reference. And we can measure our improvement like that. So the scan is an example of a reference. It's not a reference movement, it's like a reference point in the lesson to sense yourself. And we come back, we rest in different parts of the lesson, you can feel the difference. And in this lesson, there's a very distinct kind of reference movement. I'm not going to tell you what it is right now. You're going to get it to experience it, and it's more potent that way. And you're going to find that using this reference movement and doing the variations that I teach you and then coming back to check on it is really quite profound differences. Resting is essential. We do that throughout our Feldenkrais lessons. And Feldenkrais understood that this was a key way to reset your brain, reset your nervous system. And these rests allow your brain and your nervous system to process what we've been doing. So when we do these lessons, we stop and rest, and then we come back to what we were doing earlier, you find that it's easier and it's more integrated. Now, if you're doing a lesson and you get tired, you get fatigued, and maybe things aren't working so well or something hurts, just stop and rest. And then come back to it, and you'll find usually that it's easier, it's more integrated, and the confusion is gone, the pain is gone. You can do the movement more easily and more comfortably. So resting is an essential part of all Feldenkrais lessons. Another key concept in this lesson that I present is working within your comfortable range of motion. This is true for all Feldenkrais lessons. We want to work within the comfortable range of motion. Feldenkrais would often say, don't go to the border. If you go to the border, you go to the limit of the movement and you press or you push or you stretch or you strain, you're just going to reinforce that limitation. Now, conventional approaches, you're looking for a breakthrough, you got to push through that limitation, that kind of thing. It's not true. It is a fallacy. I'll tell you that right now. It is a fallacy. If you work within your range of motion and you do these lessons, you will find that your range of motion expands tremendously without any pushing or stretching or efforting. It's because we're changing what's going on in the brain and the nervous system, not at the muscular level. The way I look at it is the muscles are the messenger. They're just doing what they're told to do. And stretching and straining is just like shooting the messenger. So we need to work very carefully, very slowly, very gently, and we can change the way the brain organizes the movement. So you can have a broader range of motion with less effort. So making smaller movements, going slowly, and smaller movements allow us to engage just the muscles we need to do the movement we want to do. A lot of times we start doing a movement and we're just like, we throw everything at it. We use a lot of effort. We're using way more muscular effort than we need to. And by slowing down and making smaller, more refined movements, we learn to shut off that extra muscular effort that we don't need, that doesn't contribute to the movement. We learn to engage just the muscles we need to do the movement we want to do. This makes our movements more efficient and more powerful and much easier. So you can do more work with less effort and be refreshed when you're done. Another key idea about using less effort is that it enhances your ability to sense. So if you're making powerful movements, large movements, your awareness is caught up in the effort. So by reducing effort, doing the movement more slowly and gently, you increase your ability to sense what you're actually doing. So this is a ratio that is true in all the senses. So let me give you an example. So let's say you're carrying a sack of potatoes, and a butterfly comes along and lands on this sack of potatoes. You can't feel it. So if you have a feather between your index finger and your thumb, and that same butterfly comes and lands on the end of the feather, you can feel that. To feel a change in the sack of potatoes, you got to add a 20th to a 40th of the weight of what you're already carrying. So if it's a 40-pound bag of potatoes, you got to add a pound of potatoes before you feel that difference. So if you're doing something finer, like holding a feather or doing something lighter, a lighter effort, you can sense more of what's actually going on. This is really important for retraining your brain and retraining your nervous system. So here's an interesting thing I want to mention is what happens in your brain when you're sensing yourself. So I'm going to guide you in this lesson to sense different parts of yourself in relationship to the chair and the floor. And when you do that, you're bringing your awareness to, well, let's say your right foot. So what happens when you bring your awareness to your right foot? What happens in your brain? In your brain, the area of your brain, the motor cortex and the sensory motor cortex that is dedicated to your right foot is going to be illuminated. It's going to be light up with the neurology related to that. So when we bring our attention to different parts of ourselves, we're amplifying those sensations. We're amplifying the awareness of that part. In fact, I'm doing this right now, and I feel like I have a really large right foot because I've just been talking about it, and maybe you do too. So we amplify what we bring our awareness to. So that's one of the key things in these lessons is carefully guiding your attention to different parts of yourself that are not necessarily in your conscious awareness, bringing conscious awareness to those parts and building relationships. And that really enhances your whole sense of self, your whole self-image. It's a powerful, powerful way to work. So the eyes are so amazing. The eyes do so many things. And in this lesson, we're really exploring how the eyes organize your movement and how you can use them to free your neck and shoulders. So the muscles of the eyes, they go through your skull and they interweave with the muscles in your neck. And the muscles of your jaw also interweave with the muscles in your neck. And this is really important to understand that when the eyes are moving, your brain and your body are preparing to move in the direction that the eyes are looking. So if your eyes look to the left, your musculature, your brain, your nervous system is all prepared to go to the left. And you're going to experience that in this lesson. So one of the things that happens with the eyes is they tend to become undifferentiated in the muscles of the neck. And so we tend to become more fixed with the use of the eyes and the head and the neck. This can lead to stiffness in the neck and the shoulders, and also some eye strain and stiffness around the eyes and the face. So we're going to do some movements that separate the eyes from the head and the eyes and the neck. And you're going to find this creates a tremendous amount of freedom throughout the entire system. And one last key thing that we're going to explore in this lesson is how the imagination can be a powerful tool to improve our learning and to quicken our learning. So I'm not going to tell you a lot about that. It's kind of a surprise when you get to experience it. But it's a really important part of many Feldenkrais lessons. Feldenkrais is very interested in the mind-brain-body relationship. And this lesson is a great example of his work. So please take some time with this. It's about 35, 40 minutes to go through the lesson. Find yourself a nice chair, prepare your space, have some time alone, and have a really groovy experience. I love this work, and I'm so excited that you've taken some time with me to experience this today. Leave a comment, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.